Hello, guys. Just streamed for 8 hours, and I'm recording a video on gambling and AoE2. Super fun stuff, right? Listen, I'm going to talk about an incident that took place this week, actually within the last couple days, but also I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about gambling as a whole, my feelings on it, particularly when it comes to AoE2, because it's kind of everywhere right now. I don't think you need to look far to get a gambling advertisement. It is seeping into every way of life. I don't like that, and I think that people do not realize all the aspects that play into it, both from the player side, the streamer side, the viewer side, the human side. So let's talk about it. So I was going to show the site and show you how sketch this site looked, and I could access the site the last 2 days because I'm very much aware this was going on. But now it says that I am not able to access it based on region. But this site is called aoe.bet. Don't go to it. Don't give them more traffic, honestly, because maybe they'll look at it and say, hey, we got more clicks, and they will stick around a little bit longer. Long story short, this mysterious aoe.bet kind of came out of nowhere. They were offering the ability to bet on players playing the game through a series of show matches, and you would bet with cryptocurrency. This website seemed very sketch to me at first glance. I mean, it looked fancy. It looked kind of cool, right? If you look over the fact that it was probably just built by an AI. The fact that it was licensed by a regulated government of the autonomous island of Anjouan, Union of Comoros. I think someone said that's in South Africa. And a couple other things made it seem kind of sketch. But yeah, basically, players are being paid to play games. Oftentimes, it was just one game. And the money was pretty decent for one game. It was $75 for a win and $25 for a loss from what I've heard. That may vary based on the player, maybe based on how well-known a player was. And we had about a dozen or so players doing it over the last day or two. And then some players also streamed it and promoted it. And they had this little, odds thing that showed, the direction the bets were going. So it was, actively integrating the gambling to get people in the loop on it. I hated this right away. And not even because the site seemed sketch. Because my feeling on that site is I didn't trust it. I wouldn't put my money into it. But, other people might have, and who knows. But I don't like this because gambling in AoE2 is horrible for competitive integrity, okay? The second gambling becomes somewhat even close to accessible or mainstream in our game, someone might lose a game legitimately, and then everyone will be saying that they threw the game for money, right? They bet on themselves to lose. Who knows? And then, in other sports, it seems like a big problem is people will get angry at an athlete if they bet on them. It can create a very slippery slope, in my opinion. And so I was just already I don't want this to begin. I'm a big precedent guy with anything. I've been really nitpicky on a lot of balance changes in the game because my feeling is once you open the door, sometimes you can't go back on things, right? Especially with gambling, considering it's permeated into every other aspect of life right now, it seems. I didn't like this. And a lot of people didn't like this. And there were posts, many posts, about how people were not in support of this. And I honestly respect the AoE community so much. I'm not surprised, but it was cool to see. We had people saying, I'm unsubscribing from channels who are shilling this. Going to put my money where my mouth is. People are like, we don't believe this is healthy. This is good. And you guys vote with your subscriptions, with your support financially, but also your attention, right? And so that is the best way to make change, is to revoke that, and in this case, voice that. And much of the way it was voiced by many, I felt was good. It's an intense topic. It's a tough thing, so I don't mind the intensity behind some of the words. I did also feel like a lot of it just went too far, right? I feel like it's just classic internet, or sometimes classic Reddit, where it's it starts here and it's oh, these are legitimate points. And then more people talk about it. And I think there's more of a mental buildup in people's minds. We're all talking on the internet. We're not having real life discussions. So we don't get the emotions out of our system, and it bubbles up and it bubbles up and it bubbles up to, let's report them to their local governments. Yeah, there was a post like that. And it's come on, guys. Do we really want to start contacting local governments? Do we want people who, you know, do we want our players to be getting legal troubles like this? I mean, how about instead we stick with the feedback of, hey, we don't like this. This is why we think things are bad. And hopefully they then, come around and realize and apologize. And it seems like that's the direction we're at. That's the direction we're going. We had some players. I'm not talking about any players in this video. I'm not naming and shaming anyone, by the way. I don't want to do that. I want to have a discussion. There were people who were like, yeah, we're sorry. We'll be better. We didn't realize, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Should they have realized? Should they have done some research? Should they have thought about how gambling can affect how AoE2 tournaments play out in the future if it takes hold? I think yes. Am I going to crucify someone forever? I'm not. No. I am disappointed. And actually, I sub to a lot of people. I might unsub for a couple months. Who knows? But yeah. I think it maybe went a little bit too far. But I understand where people were coming from, okay? Now, this is a great time to talk about it because I'm hoping this AoE.bet thing tails off. I mean, I would guess it should. The site seems like it was created kind of last second. They were very reactionary when apparently there's certain areas shouldn't be able to access it. I can't now, but I could yesterday. I would guess if I created something called AoE.bet that I wanted to be AoE focused, and then the entire AoE2 community was freaking pissed off, and a lot of creators apologized, I don't think I would stick around for very long, right? So who knows where it goes? But I need to talk about the human side, like the player side, and some aspects of why it maybe felt okay, right? So I think the place to start is being a full-time gamer is really tough, okay? Now, it seems like a dream, and for a lot of you guys out there, you're like, man, I wish I could play at that level, blah, 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 blah. It sounds great. But, full-time gamer does not mean freaking raking in the savings, right? For a lot of people. When it comes to streaming, a lot of the top guys are doing way better than others. And then, at least in our scene, the majority of the same players are always getting the biggest prize pool caches, right? We have done a better job at giving more money to lower ranks and having the prize pool spread more. But you want to make more money, you got to win every time. And that's really, really, really hard, right? So our pro scene, man, I mean, a lot of these guys are averaging out to 30 years old. We have people in the mid-30s. We've got people in the mid-20s. Life hasn't exactly gotten cheaper the last couple years. I'm sure everyone's aware, right? And I know everyone's got their struggles, but think about it from a player's perspective. You don't even have to stream. Someone says, hey, $75 just to play this match, just so other people can bet on it. You're not promoting it. $75 to play one game that you were probably going to play anyways seems pretty good. And so I think for a lot of the players, that was what it was. I don't know the specifics, but I think it was like 50 or $75 if you win, $25 if you lose, play a couple games, right? So if you were to play 3 games and win under those conditions and make $250, there are a lot of people whose streams and channels and whatnot, that might equal what their monthly earning was from content creation. 3 games. And so, again, I understand it, okay? It's bad for AoE2. We're going to talk about this. It's not good. The website looked sketchy as hell. But, I can understand why it's yeah, let me just play a few games. And why you can be a little morally ambiguous about it at the time because you think, oh, it's not going to hurt. And apparently they were paid right away, and it probably chatter got around, people talked, and they're probably like, why not? Okay? So we're going to talk about gambling as a whole in AoE2 and why it's bad here in a second, and not even just the weird crypto crap, like legit betting sites, and my feelings on it. But TLDR in the video so far. Some stuff went down. Most players seem to be realizing, oh crap, maybe shouldn't have done that, okay? But also, let's not try and get people arrested. Let's understand that there's a lot of people who are struggling. There's a lot of people who have kids, have families, have things, and probably just felt, I could play a couple games, and they didn't think as deeply about it. If people come out and are like, yeah, I could have been better, let's just leave it at that. Yeah, they could be better. Cool. All right. We get it. We move on from it. If they're like, nah, screw you, bro. This is the best thing ever. F you. Well, you know, that's maybe a little bit different. But maybe some people feel like they don't deserve it. But I do feel like there needs to be a little bit of grace and understanding. Okay? Okay, so now. Perfect time to talk about it. Hopefully this thing is going to tank. Gambling needs to stay hell away from AoE2, man. I'm telling you. We imagine situations where a series concludes and someone upsets, which can be so exciting, and gambling is somehow maintained or mainstream and integrated into our game. It would not be a conversation about the person who just pulled off the upset. It would not be a conversation about the person who just lost was rusty or whatever excuse we could potentially hear already. It would be a conversation about how someone threw to make money, right? And so I would imagine in most cases, players would not actually be doing that, right? Imagine the emotions behind that, right? People are going to be smashing them. And it's also part of why, as a player, it's very dangerous to ever get behind something like this, because you're kind of contributing to that problem, right? But like, I can quickly see a world where every win and every loss is almost immediately questioned. Now, that's obvious, and I think that also, doesn't need any more explanation. The problematic thing, where it can get really bad, players could actually legitimately bet on themselves to win or lose, right? And so it's like, okay, you got the instances where people are going to claim it's happening. You would assume that happens more than it's actually happening, but Titans League. Next season's coming up. I've been put a lot of work into this over the years, and we've been able to build it up to the full season for platinum through silver is $100,000. Okay. Even still, you have group stage. While there is big placement prizes for the players, something like $40 or $50 per win, right? Imagine if a player is already doing well in the group stage in any event, but specifically in Titans League. And in the last week, they're like, okay, I could win 3-0. I could make 100, maybe $150. Or, actually, I could just drop $2,000 on myself to lose right now. I'll win only one game. I'll still get through in the group stage. I mean, it could get really tempting really fast. It could get really messy really fast. And it'd be so easy to make more money while gambling on yourself or fixing matches than actually playing legitimately, that it just all could really fall apart. And so it's tough, right? Like, I'm not anti-players making money, but like, I'm very pro-competition and also trying to build up the scene in a way that gives players legitimate opportunity and they can be rewarded for trying and whatnot. And so I just really think gambling needs to stay the hell away from the game, man. And the thing is, too, it's like in pro sports, there you're like, okay, there's enough money in it where people won't gamble, because there it's millions of dollars for even like the worst player. That is clearly not the case. That is clearly not the case with gambling. There's stories and things that come out, and probably a lot that's already happening, where players are making tons of money already, so much money that you wouldn't even know what to do with it, and they're still fixing matches. So like, yeah. There's even more reward within our scene because we don't have everyone getting paid millions of dollars. I think it would get really bad, really, really fast, and I would quickly lose. I would struggle as a tournament host and as someone who's a big fan of competition, if it were to get ingrained into our scene. And so, like, I was offered multiple times. I think one was 20, one was 30, one was $50,000 to bring a legit, non-sketchy AI crypto site into AoE2 betting. And that money sounds great, and that sounds really exciting. But guess what? Why are they spending that freaking money? Because the house always wins, dude. Because whoever they're promoting it to, it's working, it's getting people, and they've got money to spend because of it. And so I think it's bad for the competitive scene, but it's clearly everywhere it's hooking in right now. It is working somewhere, and I think people's lives are getting destroyed by it. And I think that is really, 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 really bad. And also, I'm just straight sick of seeing it, man. I already know I can gamble. I already know there's a million sites. I actually, as an Age of Empires 2 creator, I've always prided myself on like us being our tiny little corner of the internet that does something a little bit different, right? It's a safe space. I want my videos to be a safe space from all the bullshit out there in life, right? The second gambling enters, it's just the same type of space. At least in that aspect, right? Like, this cool, all these little stories about the players, all these unique things, the cool maps and whatnot. Sure, maybe they'll still be there, but it's like if there's spot to fill with the gambling, if you take the money and you run, I think it will quickly erode what we have, and at least from my perspective, it could really affect viewers' lives, which I don't want. Guys, look up the data. Again, I'm like pro being able to gamble, by the way. I'm not like anti-gambling as a whole, but like look at the numbers of like suicide rates with people gambling. Like I don't gamble. I have an addictive personality, so I stay away from it. I imagine it is probably a very self-defeating thing, right? I know lives get ruined by it because if I were to gamble and take a risk and then screw up, I'd probably then try and gamble again to try and recover it because it's the only way to make that amount of money in a short period of time. I get deeper into the hole, and then things could get very dangerous mentally. And I also wouldn't tell people about it. I also wouldn't talk to people about it because I would blame myself, and I wouldn't want to voice that. And I could see a vicious cycle there. And I think a lot of lives are probably getting ruined. Very few people are actually making life-changing amounts of money because if that were happening, they wouldn't be making money to sponsor all this stuff and be integrated into life. So yeah, I just think it's very, 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 very messy. But also, that money is very enticing, and that money is only something that I'm able to turn down because I am fortunate enough to have an audience that supports me like it does, get the viewership that I do, have the subscribers. I appreciate you guys. I'm able to have the comfort to make that decision, to turn down whatever it is because I'm fortunate. And so to circle back what I talked about earlier, other people, that makes a bigger splash. And it's more important, and that's more needed. So please have that perspective when understanding why people would possibly take the easy money, because you don't know what their situation's like, and that could have really made a big difference for them, right? And we all are viewing our situations as moral as we'd all like to feel and whatnot. We're all viewing it from whatever situation we're in, okay? Now, we are on that note, right? Like I talked about that from a personal perspective, how I can turn down something because the support and the situation I'm in. I really think with Microsoft at the helm, man, we are super lucky. I mean, everyone knows that, but the amount of money that's in the scene is crazy for esports. So if we've got that, we definitely don't need to get into the gambling thing. That's my feeling on it anyways. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in without all these moral questions and whatnot. I think we should try and I'm always trying to get like legit sponsors and boost those numbers, sure, but like, dude, now is not the time, guys. I really don't think AoE2 should be going through this right now. And because I feel strongly that every decision is based on like someone's position, there might be a time to have this discussion. Like if Microsoft drops off next year, they won't. But if they did, we went from $700,000 a year in tournaments, 99.9% of all money in tournaments coming from them, and it's all gone. Then it's like, hey guys, listen, this really sucks. But the biggest money out here is from X, Y, and Z. What do you think? I think as a community, we could maybe have a discussion on it. And I think it's more understandable then, because it's like, what else are we going to do? Should we be trying to do other things? Yes. Is it still probably very bad for all the reasons I said? Also, yes. But right now, dude, I mean, I hope ever, to be clear, but certainly right in this position we're in right now, really, really, really bad. So, in short, people make mistakes. Whether those mistakes are understandable or not, doesn't matter. I think you should maybe try and treat people based on what they're saying. They're trying to be better. I believe that's the case. So for anyone who feels some type of way about a certain individual, feel that way, do what you want, but let's not maybe take it to the extremes. Keep gambling out of our game, okay? It'll affect how enjoyable it is competitively. It will very quickly, the second we open that door, become everything. I'm sure of it, because that has happened with things much bigger than AoE2, and it's annoying as hell. I hate it. I actually hate it. I can't escape it. It is actually ruined some of the sports that I like a little bit because of the constant advertisements and stuff. So, and I don't want that with AoE2. I don't want that with my channel, at least. Like, I want this to still be a safe space on the internet, and we should stay away from it. So, I kind of did this all in one take. I hope it was good. I'm probably missing some things. And I usually do avoid topics like this. The offers I had from companies in the past, I'd never talked about, because then it creates this discussion and creates the thought process. But yeah, I thought it was worth it. I thought it was worth it to make the video. So leave me your thoughts, leave me your comments. Please, nothing too crazy. But I think it's a good time to have the discussion about why it's not great. And also, I respect people in the community who feel the same. I really do. Because you never know, right? You never know. With how widespread and awesome it is, everybody's getting all the prize bets and the bonus cashes and the... So cool, guys. I hate it. Anyways, thanks for watching. That's it. Titans League stuff. Probably coming up on this channel within like 4 hours. Really cool set. I don't know which one it is. These guys are trying to get into the 10K League. Not sponsored by a gambling company. Thank you.